Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to quickly show you some of my artwork that I have completed over the past 5 or 6 years. I have a few sketchbooks. I say a few, I have a lot of them. I've got some loose pieces that I keep in a folder. I have some 3D pieces. I've got who knows what. So I'm going to start with my year 9 sketchbook. So in year 9 I was about 14, 15. I was deciding what to do with my life, so I was looking at my GCSEs, deciding what things to do there. Pre-warning, it is very shaky to start off with. A bit of the artwork's a bit naff, a bit odd, should we say. But then over time you can see it slowly develop. In total I have about 5 or 6 sketchbooks to show you. And then a lot of loose sort of pieces. However, I do not have anything from my A-level besides the rough pieces, the random sketches. A lot of my A-level artwork is still at my old school because they've put it on display. So I am currently catering around what I have. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. So guys, this is a sketchbook I have. This is an A4 size sketchbook, but I'm not showing you the bottom for privacy reasons. Obviously I am showing you my name and what the book is. So when you turn over the cover you've got certain bits and pieces that we had to fill in. And then we had our our progress plan and how we were going to complete the module in the project. Yeah, it was very formal, my artwork. So I have a really bad drawing of the face for the portraiture module. We had to add lots of different things as like a cover page. And I just remember looking at it going, oh my god, what sort of things do I draw? So I drew a lot of things. I tried to avoid drawing noses. I drew eyebrows, lips, eyes, although in my eyes, those lips look like something from the Bratz series from when I was a young girl. Although I have to admit, I do love the typography at the top of the page. I was very happy with that. So when we turn over, we looked at a step-by-step sort of video on how to create a portrait. So just drawing the basic lines and the different shapes. Each face differs, and it is very disturbing. I then have my first attempt at drawing a portrait using the different skills that I had learned, and then I got a bit of feedback saying it was a great start, there was attention to detail, I needed to add tone. Okay, that was disappointing. We then looked at an artist called Frida Kahlo. So Frida Kahlo was, how do I say? She was a very expressive artist, and she would always draw her sorrows and what made her her life, really. So she painted our reality, not dreams, and I know that was part of the research. So I had to collect some images, draw some little bits and bobs, and I had to draw a portrait, and I could pick it of my choice, and I decided to do that. What? There we go. What is that compared to that? Just, what? Just knocked the lens, I didn't mean to do that. Then I had to draw an eye as part of homework. The eye that I've drawn was quite bad compared to what I can do now. And then we continued to do some Frida Kahlo work. So we took an image and then we had to draw it from scratch. I decided to add her signature as part of my research work, which I really liked. And then I did another attempt of portraiture. This is a better version. It was a high scorer. There was a lot more detail, a lot more sort of tonal work, should I say, but that still does not look like me at all. We were then asked to get an image of ourselves and draw the other half. I have no idea what that looks like. My teeth on that look disgusting, and if I can get the camera to focus. There we go, it looks like I've got pointed teeth apparently. And then my evaluation. And one of the projects. We looked at a different artist, but I can't remember the name of her. but they included a lot of bright sort of pop art colours, so we decided to add things that we liked. So I've got some pencils because I loved art, I've got a penguin, paintbrush, Disney, different things like that. And then we started our next topic, which was surrealism, and I really enjoyed this topic. I enjoyed making this title as well. We had to find out what surrealism meant, and we had to just kind of roll with it, really. We then had another progress plan on how we were going to continue with the project and how it was going to work, before we created a duo title page. So we looked at Salvador Dali, and Salvador Dali was very odd with his paintings. He used a lot of different objects. So he used clocks at one point, he used faces, he used robots, he used butterflies, he used a lot of different things. So we had to create a title page and add some little bits and bobs. And this, yes, there's a bit of information in this, but that is actually part of one of his pieces. And we kind of had to just go from there. So I'm looking back at this, I'm not impressed. We then looked at tonal work. So we were given the task to draw around our hands. My hands have not changed in size in the last 5 years. So we had these little hand things, we had to make 2 designs, and I decided to go with the elements and sort of earth. So I've got water, I've got lightning, I've got wind, fire, earth, air, I have the moon at one point. I've got this and that, and I'm really happy with the tonal shading. And this was part of the portraiture project, so we were asked to make a clay sort of figurine, clay head. I decided to go with the matchmaker from the Chinese dynasty. So those of you that have seen Mulan, Disney's Mulan, they will know what the matchmaker does. But for those of you that haven't seen it, the matchmaker was a Chinese woman who would match women to the men that they were going to marry. And apparently it was a very successful thing. As well as making the head, painting it, I also painted the background as like a very sort of, this is a window type thing. And then this was my evaluation page, and I'm really happy with this one, but I don't like the paintbrush. And this basically was just what we did for all of the projects and how we were going to get around it. But we also had other things on top of that, so I decided to draw another bit of surrealism, if I can lift the page up. I added more surrealism, as well as, even though it was at the end of the project. But yeah, what I have is my GSCE sketchbook. This is a lot bigger than the other one, and I also have some extra pieces that go along with it as well. So I have some criteria right here on the cover page, and then we had to make a title page. Yeah, pretty basic. And then we just started drawing whatever we wanted, really. So I've got some shells, which are really bad, and the drawings kind of developed from here onwards. Fine line up drawing from that flower. We got to experiment a lot more with titles and things in this sort of stage. Trying watercolour with flowers, charcoal, coloured pencil. I really like this one. Pastel, if that would work. Pastel, some more coloured pencils. Yeah, it just kind of goes on and on. A fine line of fish, and I love the title for this. Watermelon. We then looked at our first artist, which was Jo Shepherd for us. So she uses like a lot of acrylics, canvases, collage, that sort of stuff, oil pastels. And we had to recreate some of her work. So I was experimenting with oil pastels and white spirit, if I can make it work, so it was like runny. I also tried with acrylic paint, and at this point I'd never used acrylic paint, so that was quite interesting. And then I had to make a transcript, so we had to take a piece of her work and recreate it, and I used oil pastels and white spirit again. I found it was quite a nice sort of thing. Then we looked at our second artist. So in my case, this was called Losfeld. So he was a German a German artist who looked at a lot of natural forms and photographed it, but they don't look real, which was a bit odd. And to kind of make out the page, I cut out some black card to kind of represent his work, and I was really happy with how it came out. And then I was able to use some of my own photography to create a monoprint. So you cover like a piece of plastic with a whole load of ink and then draw on top of it. And that's how it came out. I was really happy. And then my transcript was in charcoal, and that is this piece right here. Just a really basic. We spent the whole lesson doing that. Oh my god. Memories. We then looked at design ideas. So again, I have my own photography. I've got 3 design ideas in total. And I just decided to rip my pages because why not? So just creating a whole load of stuff. And then making the final project. So I tried painting on top of cardboard. I tried adding pen, ink. I had my experimentation pieces. It took me a long time to kind of work out what I wanted to do. Some more development. And then the final piece, which I do have here. And that took me a long time to do. I'm really surprised it took me that long. And then we moved on to the final project before the exam piece. A lot of the artwork that I have for this module is on a bigger scale, and I will show you once I've finished the sketchbook, because I did a lot of practical 3D elements and then just drawn lots of different masks. But as well as that, we looked at etching. So we looked at Lucian Freud, Rembrandt, I apologise for that, Ken Curry, Pablo Picasso, and then Keith Mallet. And we created an etching of something. So I used a photograph and I etched the design on top of it and created this. This is a photocopy of it, but it's a similar sort of thing. And this sparkle is actually wrapping paper. So we created a collagraph board. So I've photographed the whole process, whacked a whole load of ink on it, and I used it as a background for a piece of work. And then I tried to experiment with different textures. So I had butterflies, I had feathers, lace, all linking to my sort of project. And this is the perspex with the ink. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And this was one of my final pieces. And I will show you that later on. And then I was also asked to create a 3D mask. So again, I ripped my design pages because why not? But because my designs were linked to theatre, so theatre masks, production masks, I decided to make something in relation to Swan Lake. So those of you that know the story of Swan Lake will probably get this whole idea. But we made feathers from scratch, and I've got the 3 different designs, and we ended up going with this one in the end. And I have the final mask as well. And that is my GCSE book over and done with. As well as the GCSE sketchbook, I also have my exam piece, so I decided to look at angles, and I decided to focus on bottles, because when you've got glass, the perspective kind of changes. So I've got some little drawings, some pencil drawings, and a pen drawing, some photography and some extra bits and bobs. And I'm really happy with this piece. Really happy with how it looks. And this is the artist I decided to look at, so Juan Gris. And I had to complete a little transcript, so I used this section and recreated it using coloured pencil because I found it was easier to use. Sorry, I've just knocked the camera. And then creating design ideas, which was quite a difficult sort of concept. So we decided, I have no idea where the board is. There it is. This board should actually be here. So I decided to take some photographs of bottles, and then I cut different pieces out, and triangles worked, and that made my design ideas, made that work quite well. And in the end I went with this one as my final piece. But I changed it slightly, so I looked at experimentation as well, because I knew I wanted to do colour. I looked at how to make some pieces bigger, I looked at doing some watercolour, coloured pencils, and in the end I went with this one. I thought it was a really nice sort of thing, and then that was my final piece. This is a photograph or this was my trial piece anyway. But that is my exam stuff, and this was my final piece. So, very similar sort of shapes, very cubist, and it's 3D as well. But yeah, that is all of my GCSE work, besides the bits and bobs I'm going to show you in just a second. So this was the 3D mask that I was on about, so you can see just the shadow and things like that and how I made it. Just making it a nice 3D sort of piece. Yeah. So for the etchings, this was the original print from the etching, so using the mask and things like that. And then printing on top. So we photocopied the etching, the original one, and then we tore the edges to try and make it as smooth as possible. And we put it onto the print. I think it's got quite a nice effect. And to finish my GCSE work, this is the collograph board that I made, so using masking tape, using sellotape, this weird ridge cardboard thing, and then we used a blowtorch and we burnt some of the edges to make it look quite authentic and quite odd, so to speak. But yeah, it's got a really nice effect and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So now I'm just going to show you some of my A-level artwork. I have 2 sketchbooks for this, and then I have some extra pieces which I might show depending on what this looks like. So yeah, we started looking at surrealism again and we took like our own turns on it. So I decided to look at a few artists. I looked at Ben Lawson and we had the opportunity to meet him, which was really good. So just recreating some of his artwork and going from there. I looked at Redma Hoekstra, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. And his artwork was like mixing different animals and objects. So you've got a fly, which is a light bulb, you've got an owl, which has a book for wings. Excuse me. I then looked at Alfred Basher and I really liked his artwork. And I kind of just rolled with that from the beginning, so I'm just recreating loads of different pieces. And I really liked how he incorporated nature into a lot of different things. Again, I looked at Frida Kahlo, but that was just for background purposes because I liked how she had a lot of feathers. Not feathers, like leaves and different types of leaves. So I was able to add some more photography into this before rolling into my design ideas. So because nature works in its own way, I thought about linking that to the mechanics of the body, so lungs, heart, things like that. And my designs kind of just developed. I really don't know what I was doing, but it worked. And then I was trying to create a bit of an outcome, so I looked at, again, mechanics. And I looked at I looked at a screw as part of my idea, and you can see that in the development, as well as the flowers. So looking at some cogs as well, because that was part of my idea. But yeah, that was that sketchbook, which I think was a bit of a waste. But this one has more of the random pieces in it. So some of the drawings I had to take out, so Redma Hoekstra twice. Again, that was my recreation of it, by the way, that is not the original. Just looking at some flowers and starfish. I can't remember why I looked at the starfish, but oh well. I have some of my designs. And then linking to one of the projects. So one of the projects that we had to do was looking at colour studies. So I looked at how they incorporated the face into, like, how they expressed emotion as part of it. So I decided to look at skulls and Day of the Dead, and this kind of represents throughout the rest of the artwork that I'm going to show you. So I painted my face like a skull and I took a photograph and then painted it from there. But then in the end my tutor thought it was quite a weakness, so to speak, in my artwork, so she was like, no, just get rid of it. But I kept it because I really liked how it looked. And here we go again, developing the skulls and the flowers. So I painted some acrylic flowers, I used coloured pencil for the coloured flowers, and I used fine liners to make all of the skulls. And I kind of found that fine liner was my strong point. So I've got some human skulls, but then I looked at animal ones as well. And then I have flowers, lots and lots of flowers. just looking at experimentation with colour mainly. So I used a washed background for this bit, whereas I just used white. It kind of varies. I could not lift the page there. So looking at drips in a different way, so how did the detail sort of fall? Some more pieces. And then starting to incorporate colour into these. And then these are some of the photographs that I took throughout that process, so looking at flowers and nature. And I remember the day that I took all of these, I was literally just given a box full of artificial flowers and artificial skulls with some sort of metallic looking background pieces, and I was given the school's camera and they were just like, crack on. So I think I was sat for about 2 hours just photographing flowers, trying some paint and doing some finer detail. And this was kind of where my design started, so there you can see part of the screw from the previous sketchbook, as well as the lungs, and then just incorporating lots of different things. I have another little etching from when I had a tutor, because they wanted us to get back into like surrealism, and I used that to create this. So I used the typical, just to give a bit of experimentation and layers essentially, texture. I photocopied the etching onto tracing paper and I melted crayons just to try something different, to give me something new to experiment with, but unfortunately that wasn't included in my final work. I then have some more skulls, some more animal skulls, some more photographs, some awful looking ones of me, and yeah, just going through all of that. So linked in with that, I also have my final piece from creating the lungs, which is this piece. So you can see the lungs, you can see the cogs, the screw, the flowers, it all kind of developed. Yeah, but I'm really happy with how this one looks. Sorry guys, I realised that I'd missed out one of my sketchbooks. So this is one of the books that I showed you from the year 9 stuff at the start of the video. Again, I'm not showing the bottom for privacy reasons, but this was just to get us back into drawing, because we had a 3-month summer between GCSEs and A-levels. And it's just filled with like lots of little pieces really. So some photography, some quick drawing, quick sketches, making everything look like progress. So we ended up drawing garlic, shells, just trying all the shading and things again. Fruit, so we had artificial fruit as well. Some more garlic, some more fruit, some more photographs. And then I decided to make a little composition, so I put 3 of the, like I photocopied them, the limes, and I put them into a small composition, so there was 3 of different sizes, and then I used that as an etching, and my teacher was able to let me make the etching, and this is the actual one. But as part of work, we then photocopied it multiple times so I could do different things with it. So I used watercolours, I used coloured pens, I used ink, ended up using acrylic. I was able to do another monoprint of a shell, which I was really happy with, and there's the acrylic of the limes used in different colours. We then looked at textures, so creating texture boards, so you've got some cling film covered in paint. We used PVA glue, which doesn't show much of an effect, which I'm annoyed about, and then we used tissue paper. And then again we used the blowtorch and we completely burnt it. And then I decided to add a different section because the topic was close-ups, so I looked at close-ups of the face. So some more sketches, and you can see between this and the portrait module from year 9 how much I've developed since then. Whether it was cartoon, whether it was doing little bits and pieces. But I am really happy with how this module turned out. So again, just experimenting with acrylic because I wasn't very good at it. So it was just making my own little pieces and just kind of making it work. But I did, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So guys, like I said, a lot of my A-level stuff is still at school, and I'm currently holding the camera because my tripod is behind me. It's currently being fixed. And also because it's getting quite late during the day. But a lot of my A-level stuff is still at school, it's on display, so I don't have it at the moment. However, wow, I can't speak today. From what you've seen, you can kind of see where the outcome came from, and I don't have any of my exam things either, and that camera is getting lower and lower. So it's just kind of piecing all the work together, but I am really happy with how it all turned out. Just swap hands. So now I'm currently at university studying more or less art, but it's not fine art, so I don't want to say that, but yeah, studying production design, so creating sets and props, and yeah, it's going well. So a lot of the design stuff that I have done in the past, so I made 3D things, so it kind of helped me. But yeah, that's all my artwork I've got to show for you at the minute. Okay, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.